Okay, for the grade 5, it's nice to have a video that's actually relatively straightforward, even though it's high level. Hopefully you'll be able to understand this quite easily. In the exam, they will often ask you to do calculations involving pi, which would be things like circles, spheres, cones, cylinders, those kind of things. A lot of them will involve pi, which is really just a number approximately 3.14. Okay, so pi is a number that goes on forever. Okay, 3.14, 159, 265, all of that stuff, it goes on forever. So this number here, when you do your calculations, can give you some very horrible decimals. And so we prefer, especially in the non-calculator paper, to leave the pi in place. Okay, and the reason that we do that is because you do a calculation and you have the pi there, means you don't have to do your decimals and rounding, and with complicated calculations, you don't want to be doing horrible decimal calculations. And in the very highest level questions, the pi will often cancel out later on. So we always try to leave, at the higher level, our answers in terms of pi. Like that. That's how they write it in the exam. If you see those words, all it means is leave the pi there. So let's do a quick example. Let's have a circle that's got a radius of 5, and we work out the area. Okay, you need to know this formula off the top of your head. Pi r squared for the area, and we say that the area is pi times the radius squared. So 5 squared is 25 times pi would look something like this. Okay, 25 pi. So we've left the pi in. At the lower levels, sort of grade 4-ish, they want to check that you can do your rounding skills. So you would press the SD button on your calculator and turn that into 70 whatever. Okay, the horrible decimal. But you don't want to use that in your calculations at the higher level. We wish to leave the pi in place, because we'll do a calculation later on where you have like 25 pi on this side and then 300 pi r cubed or something like this. And well, let's change that to a 200 so the numbers actually work out a bit better. Then in this case, because we left the pi there and we've got a single pi here and a single pi here, we can actually divide both sides by pi. Okay, so that will make our calculations substantially easier than if I had a horrible decimal here, because I can divide by 200 now and get an eighth equals r cubed, and then I can take the square root and get a half in the non-calculator paper. Okay, now that might have been a bit quicker. I just did 25 over 200, which is an eighth. Okay, but essentially the pi's cancelling out made my life so much easier there. So the lesson to take away really is try to keep the pi in your calculations as long as possible, and only change it into a decimal if you're asked to round at the end.